Hello and welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. A little bit of a different show today as we have an interview. Our own Robert Farrington got the chance to sit down on the MILMO Show, which you can find on all podcast platforms, and talking about student loans again. What do you know? But it was a great show, and we hope you enjoyed the interview today. If you have any other questions on all things student loans, everything going on, I know it's crazy. You can check us out at thecollegeinvestor.com. All right, let's get right to it. Robert Farrington on the MILMO Show.
Hey, Robert, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I can't believe I haven't had you on my show yet. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but very excited that we're doing this now.
We should have done this in person when we cross paths a couple times a year, but that's okay. We're here now.
I know, yes. Well, and I'm a little nervous, I'm going to be honest, because student loans really aren't my thing, but I know you are the expert on this, so I'm excited to kind of get schooled up on what's going on with student loans. And that leads me to my first question, which is, if you were talking to an eighth grader, trying to explain the state of student loans, what would you say to them, like giving them an overview of everything?
The big thing to realize with student loans is there is a crisis in America, but the crisis in America is really on the people that are struggling to pay their student loans. 85% of people that have student loans are repaying them. They might not want to repay them, but they are repaying them. 15% of Americans are struggling to stay current on their student loans. And then there is a lot of changes to the whole system. And so a lot of people are just confused on what to do next. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act passed last year, and starting July 1st of 2026, right before we're recording this, there are a lot of changes to both repayment plan options and to borrowing limits for future students. All of these things are just dumping on the 43 million Americans that have student loans, whether you have them already and you're confused on what the next move is, or you're thinking about going to school or graduate school and you don't know what these loan limits mean. It is very messy. And then you have to realize that it's the government on the back end of this with contractors, their loan servicers. They're not very good at communication. They're not very good at helping you navigate this. You call a call center and it's a $15 an hour worker that's not a fiduciary that's trying to kind of answer your question. There's not a lot of great resources there. And so all these things together have created this crisis we're in. And it's really hard for those that are in it, which, like I said, is about 43 million Americans dealing with student loans.
That's a really great word to describe it, as messy, because I don't have a student loan. I don't have as many clients with student loans. So it's, from an outsider, I guess, looking in, it does seem messy, and it feels like it's really on uneven or shaky ground. So I can imagine it is very difficult for people to make a decision when they're not getting perfect information. And then maybe if they do, then it changes the next week.
Well, I also think it's messy because the media is very good at sound bites and headlines. But when it comes to student loans and a lot of personal finance things in general, everyone's situation is so unique. So when it comes to student loans, you have undergraduate borrowers, you have graduate school borrowers, you potentially have parent borrowers. Then you have those kids that are looking to go to school. If you go to the eighth grade example, right? Like you have a high schooler that's looking on how do I navigate this for the first time? There are so many different unique situations, and there's not really a one size fits all answer. And when it comes to student loan repayment, I know a lot of people are like, well, you should just repay your loans. The thing with student loans is they operate very differently than every other type of debt that's out there. And the reason they operate differently is 50% of all Americans that have student loans qualify for total or partial student loan forgiveness. And so just paying off your student loans isn't the answer. For 50% of all those borrowers, the answer actually might be pay as little as legally required and maximize your loan forgiveness, because we want you to not spend more money than you need to. And that's where it also gets very confusing, is who qualifies, what programs are there? And there's 80 different loan forgiveness programs. There's so many. It's not easy, and they all require paperwork and government bureaucracy and all the things. And so again, it just makes the problem more confusing.
That sounds overwhelming to me and goes against too, for me, I take a commitment serious. If I borrow money, I'm going to pay that money back. So it kind of goes against, and I'm sure many of my listeners, but many of them do qualify for student loan forgiveness because of their military service.
It's funny you say that. Let's start there, because if you're in the military, you have so many benefits. You have your Chapter 35 VA education benefits, and you have all these other benefits. Why would you dismiss loan forgiveness? It's just a benefit. It's in the contract. It's nothing special. You fill out paperwork and do your job for 10 years, and any remaining balance is forgiven. Like, it's no different than any other type of commitment, whether your re-enlistment commitment includes student loan repayment assistance, whether your VA benefits include your education assistance benefits. You know, there's just so many benefits. It's just one of the many that are offered to service members. Public service loan forgiveness is also just offered to anyone that works in public service, state, local, federal government, hospitals, teachers, whatnot. You have teacher loan forgiveness. These are just employment benefits. And I think if you think of them more that way than like these blanket student loan forgiveness things, maybe it's a little more appetizing to people.
Yes. For the military community, I think it's hard sometimes to say, yes, I'm going to do 10 years, because you have no idea what the military is going to ask of you in a 10-year period. But you make a very good point for people to think about, like, hey, yeah, if you have to tap out after 5 years, you could become a teacher. You could work in other government or public service in order to get that time versus having to stay in for another 5 or whatever.
Oh, totally. And we know how many military people leave the military and then also just end up in a public service job, whether state government, federal government, police officer, public safety. Lots of government jobs qualify for loan forgiveness. So even if you only do 5 years in the military and then transition out into another program, you can continue that loan forgiveness process. It doesn't like reset the clock or anything like that.
Yes, I love it. That's a good point for our community. With all the things that are going on, is there one thing that you see is like the biggest misconception or bad intel that people are getting with the state of everything going on? Because I completely agree with you. So many things are sound bites, and people aren't digging deeper. And so they could be worked up by a headline versus the truth.
There's a few things. First off, a lot of people that have student loans today are in the SAVE plan. And the SAVE plan was launched during the Biden administration. It was blocked by the courts. And 7 million of the 43 million student loan borrowers are in what's called forbearance. They are paused in limbo. We know the plan is ending. It's been ruled illegal by the courts. It's been ruled out by the Congress. It's ending. We just don't know what that end date is yet. Eventually, probably later this summer, maybe in the fall, they're going to kick you out and they're going to make you choose another repayment plan. However, you should not be waiting for the government to make that decision automatically for you. You need to go run your numbers right now and see what enrolling in a repayment plan today, such as income-based repayment, looks like. Because we're recording this in February of 2026, and you might not have filed your taxes yet. And the cool thing with income-driven repayment plans is it uses your last tax return. So you could actually enroll in a repayment plan using your 2024 income right now. That could be a lot more beneficial for you than waiting until the government kicks you out this summer and you have to use your 2025 income. You could actually lock in a whole year of lower payments. We're also recording this right now during a government shutdown. I don't know if it will still be shut down when this goes live, but government shutdowns are a great time to recertify your income, because what's your income? $0 a month. And these little hacks, if the government wants to play games with your paycheck, you play the game right back to them and you say, well, I didn't get paid. I have a $0 paycheck. Use that income to recertify your employment and say I made zero, and you can get a $0 student loan payment for 12 months. And if you're a federal worker, if you're in the military and we actually miss this next paycheck coming up in about a week and a half, put it right back at them and get a $0 student loan payment for a year. There's a lot of things that you can do to better your financial situation with your student loans, but you have to be vigilant on what my options are, what my income is, know what's happening so that you can take advantage of these things for your benefit.
This leads to definitely my next question is having a strategy. I mean, everything you're saying there is having a strategy. Is it something that you have found that most people can do on their own, or do they need to hire help for it? Especially somebody that's an expert like you are in student loans. I mean, even if you only have one versus somebody that has like 5.
Yeah, this is all publicly available information. Most people don't need to hire someone to help with your student loans, but you do need to have the plan. And again, kind of going back to it, 50% of everyone with student loans qualifies for some type of loan forgiveness. 50% of people don't. My general planning for student loans is if you don't qualify for anything, you treat it like regular debt. Debt snowball, debt avalanche. You pick your poison however you like to pay it off. Throw as much money as you can at it, get it done. But if you're one of the 50% of people that qualifies for something, you work for the federal government, for the military, you qualify for total or partial loan forgiveness, your goal should actually be to pay as little as legally required by law to then maximize your loan forgiveness. And then that one does require you to reevaluate your situation every single year, because chances are you're also changing jobs, getting a paycheck, having a family, life happens to you. So when you start repayment, might not be the same thing you're at now. And then in a year or two from now, you might be in a different situation as well, because we all are growing, old, getting older, having families, changing jobs, changing income. And you just have to reevaluate at every single point in the process to see if you should be doing something different, changing your repayment plan, or maybe you change jobs, you don't qualify for loan forgiveness, and you got to switch to the repayment aspect of things.
Is there something that makes a lot more noise that isn't actually as important, maybe that scares people when it comes to student loans? It's not really something that deserves as much attention that it gets.
Yeah, the student loan interest rate. Don't think about your student loan interest rate. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Student loan interest rates historically are going to be lower than any other type of debt you can borrow. And the math of your student loans are simple interest, folks. They're not compound interest. They're simple interest. So that means this interest actually accrues in a whole separate little bucket than your loan balance, and it's not compounding. So that means you're not earning interest on interest is what compounding means. It's not that big of a deal. So I think a lot of people get hung up on interest because when you look at other types of debt, right? Again, car loans, mortgages, credit cards, interest matters. There's no forgiveness programs. This is why student loans are in such a weird, different bucket than other types of debt.
That's a very, very good point to make to people, because the other concern is, what do you tell people that are trying to balance paying off their student loans if they need to, or paying that minimum, but also saving for things like retirement or their children's education, or because there are some people that are still paying off their student loans and have children, or
Absolutely.
taking their family on a trip or things like that. How do they balance all of that?
The cool thing is saving for yourself and your own retirement can actually help you with your student loan payment. So again, going back to this income-driven repayment plan type thing, is it's based on your adjusted gross income. So your student loan payment is based on your adjusted gross income for a lot of borrowers. How do you lower your adjusted gross income? You contribute to your own retirement account, a TSP, a 401k, a 403b, an IRA. All of those things save for yourself and your own retirement. And as a result, it lowers your adjusted gross income, which in turn lowers your student loan payment. So it's actually beneficial for you to save for your retirement, and it will help you lower your student loan payment as well.
Yes, that's a really good point, because a lot of people think like, oh, well, I can't do all of these things because things are just going to be too tight if I try to do it all. But actually, it will help you probably in the current and in the future if you make sure you pay yourself first.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know this, the value of putting money into a TSP 18 to 22 or 25 or early, every dollar is worth like $10. Your student loans, again, being simple interest, isn't really growing that much. So like if you can put that money into your retirement accounts, it's so beneficial for you in the long run, and your student loans will pay themselves off.
I don't know if you saw this in the news. I just read it last night. This is a wild card question, but just your thoughts. I read that Elon Musk just told people to not put money in their retirement accounts because in the future, like 10, 20 years from now, AI, will make it so you don't need a retirement account. And I thought, wow, that's, well, 10 to 20 years, there are some people that are going to need the money before you're saying that it will work. So what are your thoughts on, did you see that?
I have seen it and I've seen variations of it. And let's be honest, AI, I use it every day. I'm involved with it every day. It's going to be a force multiplier, but it's not going to replace the fact that you have to take care of yourself and your family, and you need to have your own money. So taking care of yourself is always a positive, beneficial thing that you should do. You should not be relying on the government to give you some kind of future universal basic income to try to live off of. Let's be honest. One, it probably won't happen. Two, if it does happen, it's not going to be helpful for you. You need to take care of yourself. That self-sufficiency is key when it comes to your own future, your own savings, both today and in the future.
Yes, I agree. You do have to take care of yourself because who's coming? I mean, I just have gone through a snowstorm and possibly am snowed into my neighborhood. But if you don't take care of yourself, like who, there's going to be other priorities in the future, 10 to 20 years from now. So I can't imagine if you took that advice and you didn't put some money away for yourself and just counting on the future and the government. I don't know who you would be counting on in that case.
Totally. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, maybe AI will get there. At this point in time, AI is kind of embarrassing. And some of the stats are showing that people are using it less and less. In the personal finance space, Lacy, where we're at, AI gets it wrong over 33% of the time, and it's not getting any better. One of the things we've done at the College Investor is we've studied it each year. We did a survey in 2024 where we asked it 100 personal finance questions. And then we asked the same questions again in 2025. It was wrong like 40-something% in 2024. It was still wrong like 37% in 2025. It can't tell you what a 529 plan is. It doesn't know the IRA contribution limits. It gets so much of the basics wrong that we somehow think it's going to like revolutionize everything. And it's like, I have my doubts. I use it. I think it's a great tool, but it's not really solving our personal finance questions today. And it's been 2 years of getting better, and it's not getting better.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to put a link to that article because not to brag, but I did get quoted in that article, everybody, so you should read it. But in that case, like I gave the example of, because it originated from somebody asking me about my thoughts on if they should put all their money in the gold in TSP. And I was like, sometimes I'm like, is there something new that I missed? I'm like, you can't invest in gold in the TSP. But so I started Googling gold in the TSP. And then I realized what it was doing. It was sending them to articles that did ultimately tell them you can't use the TSP to invest in gold, but we do have a gold thing. So anyway, it's, and that was for the searches AI, but I'll link to all of it in the show notes for everybody, but very good point. Like they do get it wrong a lot, especially in a niche like the military community.
And that's it. You have to remember that AI as of 2026 it's just scouring the internet and trying to regurgitate what it thinks an answer is, but it doesn't replace humans and experts that actually know this stuff. And it doesn't know, and it ranks things. Who knows what it's doing? It's not right. Like the bottom line is I'm very outcome driven on both college planning, student loans, and personal finance. And the outcome is not there. Bar none, the outcome of AI answers in personal finance is nowhere near any type of level of certainty that you can rely on it.
Yes. I use it more to enhance something. Like for doing podcast interviews, I write out all my questions and I'm like, how can I improve or enhance these questions that I want to ask? Or, creating stuff for like Mo Money Con. It's like, this is the thing I want to do. How could I execute it the best? Or give me, that type of stuff. But yeah, I'm not trying to put all my eggs in that basket of like, this is the correct way to do it.
Totally. I mean, and you think of what it's doing in that situation, it's basically looking for new adjectives for the nouns that you gave it. Like it's literally just being a giant thesaurus. It's not actually trying to solve a problem for you. It's like, well, you didn't use this here. So maybe if you did an and or an or put this here, but it's not answering you. So like if you want a source of truth, AI is not the source of truth.
Yes, that's a really good point. That kind of leads me to another question, what you were just saying a minute ago with college planning. And this is your zone of genius. Everything in the world, I feel like a college degree, some people are pulling back on that. Do you see that? And what are your thoughts about people attending college in the future? Because, a lot of people, especially in the military community, go into the trades. Mm-hmm. So, but like, how do you think it will be in the future?
Yeah. So I think people are having their 2007 housing crisis moment in college. And what I mean by that is in that housing crisis is people overpaid and took out too much debt for an asset, their house, that ended up not being worthwhile. And then they couldn't afford the loan payments and they lost their house. The problem is when you borrow for college, the collateral of student loans is your future earnings. You are the collateral. If you borrow for this degree and you don't increase your future earnings enough, guess what? It really sucks because you got 20 or 30 years to repay that debt out of your earnings that may or may not have increased because of that degree. And that is what we're seeing. So I really go back to college is still worth it, but it's not worth it at every price point. There is a really hard stop of when college stops being worth it. And that hard stop is if you spend over $80,000 in total for a bachelor's degree in America, you really run the risk of it not paying off financially for you over the next 20 to 30 years of your life. You would have been better off taking that $80,000, putting it in your stock market and the S&P 500 and going and working at Chick-fil-A. And you will be richer at 60 than you would have been not doing that. So that's what you really have to think about when it comes to the value of college. Now, I love the trades, but let's also be honest with the trades. Everyone's talking up the trades because you can go make $100,000 as an electrician at 28 years old. But the trades also wear your body out by the time you're 50. You are probably not seeing a lot of guys crawling through attics at 55 and 60 years old unless they have really screwed up their finances and they can't afford to not be doing that. So even if you go into the trades, you need to have an exit strategy. Are you trying to build your own business so that you can hire a crew and that you don't have to go out in the field as much anymore? That requires some acumen as well. Maybe not college, but you got to have some skill set that you're building up outside of just the trade work. So again, I'm not against it, but college is still worth it as long as you don't overpay for college. The cool thing for our military friends is that you have so many education benefits. I love it. And you could either take advantage of it for yourself or you can designate your spouse or your dependents for it. And you can put them through state college for free, mostly, usually. Take advantage of that. Like you could set your children up for a phenomenal educational pathway if that's the way they want to go. And then, if you're getting a free degree, it's always worth it because it always you're not paying anything. So right. I love that, right?
Yes. Well, I'm going to circle back more on that in a minute in the business because that made me think of a bunch more questions. I'm really going to make sure I'm respectful of your time, Robert, because I could ask you a million questions. I have been blessed to be able to talk with you many times because we've known each other for a while. But for anybody that right now is just with their student loans, feels absolutely on shaky ground, what's your advice for them to take action? What are the first steps? Because it is kind of, like you said, you have to do your own homework. It is all publicly available, but you have to do it.
Yeah. So number one is you need to get organized. Go find your loans, go log into your loan servicer, make sure your contact information is updated, email address, especially if you're one of those folks that haven't looked at it since the pause started back in 2020, right? I mean, there's some folks that student loans went on pause and it's like, whew, out of sight, out of mind. So now is the time. Go in, log in, figure out what you owe, where it's located, whatnot. Then I want you to go run the student loan repayment calculators. We have one on the College Investor. There's studentaid.gov has a repayment calculator. Go understand what your student loan repayment options are. Whether you can afford them or not is irrelevant. It is coming. If you're not making payments, you're going to have to start making payments. If you can afford the number, go enroll in that repayment plan. If you can't afford that number yet, you need to go spend the next 6 months figuring out what's up with your budget, try to make things happen so that you can afford that student loan payment. Because I want to warn you that student loan default, so not paying your student loans, is 100% of the time more expensive than the cheapest student loan repayment plan. Here's why. The cheapest student loan repayment plans will set your monthly student loan payment at 10 to 15% of your income, and your discretionary income too. If you don't pay your student loans, they will garnish your wages. They will take your tax refunds. They will destroy your credit. The collection costs alone are 20%. So you are getting more added to your loan balance than the cheapest student loan repayment plan option for you. And I promise you, losing your tax refund every single year and getting your wages garnished, they'll take 15% of your wages. That's going to take off just as much as your student loan payment would be, except you're not making any progress on your loan because the collection costs are always more than what they're taking from you. So literally, if you are thinking about, I can't afford it, it's literally cheaper to figure out how to afford it than it is to not afford it.
Yes, because it's going to come, you're going to have to handle it at some point for whatever reason, like do it on your own or be forced to.
Totally. And then for those in your community right here, the government doesn't need to sue you. You work for the government, they will garnish your wages. You're already in the system. If you have a security clearance, you could lose your security clearance. And guess what? That means you're going to have a really sucky job or they're kicking you out of the military. Don't jeopardize your career over you or your spouse's student loans that could really come to bite you very hard.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. I like that you pointed out it's just going to be more expensive in the long run if you don't handle it. But I think that's people struggle with that. If they don't understand it, it feels way bigger than it probably is if you just sat down in small chunks and worked on the problem.
100%. And these plans, I mean, your legal payment could be $0 a month if you don't make a lot of money. Let's be honest, not a lot of people are there, but if you really are hard up, it could be a $0 a month student loan payment for you. And you're telling me you can't afford it? Come on, let's run the numbers and let's talk real numbers about what it is that you can or can't afford. And then we can look at the rest of your budget to see why it's not fitting in, because it's always set to your discretionary income. It's already giving you a buffer of the poverty line. And it's based on your income. Like, it's not asking you for more than your income. I can tell you that because that's not how the math works.
When would you recommend for somebody to hire? I know you mentioned earlier, like most people don't need to, but in what cases have you seen where it might be best situation to bring in a professional?
So there's two types of professionals I recommend. You got the lawyer side of things and you have the financial planner side of things. If you are being sued by a lender, maybe you had private student loans and you're being sued and you got some lawsuit paperwork, if you think that bankruptcy might be an option for you because maybe you have student loans along with other debt, medical debt, things like that, you might want to go the lawyer route. And there are lawyers that specialize in student loan debt that can help you navigate those paths. If you are on the other side of things and you are a business owner or a high earner, maybe you're a doctor, a lawyer, someone that has a lot of levers, maybe you own your own practice, things like that, and you have levers that you want to pull, you go to the financial planner route. And there's financial planners that also specialize in student loans because doctors, lawyers, business owners, you have a lot of levers that you can pull between like salary and business things that could maybe help you navigate your student loans effectively with all the different options that you have. And those are the two scenarios that I recommend people look for financial help, but realize like the law side, it's because you're getting sued. And then on the financial planner side, it's because you need someone to look at the whole financial picture, your student loan debt being one component of other things, right?
Yes, I love that. That's great. Just so people understand the buckets, like where it fits in. Is there anything else that you think people should know what's going on with student loans right now?
You know, I think we have the repayment plan changes. So July 1st, the new student loan repayment plan called the Repayment Assistance Plan goes live. And so that's a big thing for a lot of people. The other thing that's weighing heavily is the changes to graduate school student loan limit. So if you want to go back to graduate school, they are now two different paths. You have graduate school, which can borrow $20,000 a year or $100,000 in aggregate. And graduate school would be like your master's degree, your MBA, your master's in education, things like that. And then you have professional school, which is medical school, dental school, law school, and you can borrow $50,000 a year or up to $200,000 total. It sounds like a lot of money, but when you figure that medical school costs like $250,000, they're leaving you a little bit short. So something to think about. I don't know how impactful that is to your community, especially because a lot of the military community also has other paths to medical school through the military. But those are your kind of options going forward for graduate school. And a lot of people are concerned about that because currently the system was uncapped borrowing. Graduate school was actually one of the biggest problems in the student loan crisis. If you ever heard someone with a six-figure student loan balance, it always was graduate school. it was impossible for you to have a six-figure undergraduate balance because the loan limit for undergrad is $30,000. The loan limits for graduate school being uncapped, that's where people were getting themselves into trouble.
Yes, no, that's a really good point. Yes, and I actually, one time I coached somebody, they had $300,000 worth of student loan debt, had a graduate degree, but were wanting to talk to me about going back to school, and they weren't even using their degrees. I was like, I feel like we're just throwing money down the drain right now. So
100%. I mean, that's a big thing we see a lot is the overeducated, underemployed person. And a lot of it comes to graduate school is that they keep thinking that another degree is going to somehow be the ticket to more income. But if you don't have the experience to go along with the education, no one's going to pay you more money. You need the skill set as well.
right. It's a real big problem for military spouses because that often is what, okay, well, I can't find a job here where we're stationed at. I might just go back to school and, maybe switch. And so there's a lot of career switching and feeling the need to have education to match that. But to your point, not getting the experience and actually working in that field. So great point. I want to switch gears real quick. I want to ask you, you had a very successful career before you started the College Investor, but I've never asked, how did you start that? Like, why did you start it? How did it come about?
Unintentional laziness? I don't know. I worked at Target for 17 years and I started off at the bottom. I started off as a car attendant. I started off doing cashiering and stocking the floors and all that. And then I worked my way up to supervisor. And I was an hourly supervisor and I worked 36 to 40 hours a week all through college. So my 4 years of college, then I became an assistant manager and then I became a store manager. And I think a lot of people don't realize that like store managers at a big box retail store like that, I mean, you're overseeing a staff between 100 to 300 people. You're managing anywhere from a $30 to $100 million business. You get a lot of experience. So I did that for a long time. And then ended up doing some special projects for them and worked there for 17 years. Have nothing but great things to say about them for my time there. Great company to work for. But I think it's the leadership skills were huge. But my side project was always personal finance. And I loved the money and I loved side hustles. And so I was always side hustling all along while doing this as well. Started my website, started writing, started doing this type of citizen journalism that we see now, except this was like 15 years ago. And then we just kind of continue to fast forward to today. And so I've been doing this full time now for, almost like 7 years. It's been a fun journey all along.
I'm going to put links. Everybody, please go check out the College Investor. Just amazing resource. And as somebody like in business, like everything you've built is super cool. And that makes a lot of sense, what you're saying, that you manage huge teams, and you had all of this experience, which I think has led to why, you're so successful. Looking back, are there things that when starting the College Investor that you feel like you would do over? And on the other side of that, if you had to do it again, would you do some of the things exactly the same way that you did it? Because things have changed now. Like people that are listening, like, I want to start a website. Would you recommend for people to do that? So looking back, what's your advice for people?
Yeah. You have to realize it was a different time. So I started this in 2009. And so there was no podcasting, I think was like barely starting. Video was not a thing. Like we didn't have TikTok. It didn't exist. It was a very different time. I like to write. Writing is my forte. So I was a writer. I would tell you one of my big first inflection points of growth in my business. So I just operated in a quiet little bubble on the internet. And I didn't talk to anyone or socialize with anyone or get to know anyone for about 2 years. And guess what? I also did not make any money online in those 2 years because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just putting out articles and like, hope for the best. Like, who knows, right?
Wing and a prayer.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the actual first inflection points was joining an online forum. And of course, I'm dating myself, but I was joining like an online internet forum and people were talking about things to do. And so I was like, oh, I should do this and do that. And it was very insightful. And then my next inflection point was actually attending FinCon, the financial, I guess we're calling it the Financial Influencer Conference. But back then it was a financial blogger conference because we were all blogging. I met people in real life and had real life conversations. And honestly, if you look at the growth of my business, it was like nothing. And then it jumped when I hit the forum. And then it jumped again when I started connecting and implementing some of the things I heard online. looking back on those realizations, I should have interacted and listened to other people sooner and gotten to know people in my industry and niche much sooner. I now really have a good understanding of collaboration is huge. You should get to know everyone in your space. Maybe you end up not liking them. Maybe you end up liking them, but you should still know them. Like you should still know everybody in whatever it is that you're doing. It's just a good thing to know, and you learn and you get better, and having that network is fundamental. And so if I was starting over, I would spend so much time just getting to know every single person that's in my space, tangential to my space. I would, on social media, like, subscribe, follow, leave comments on all their stuff, sign up to their newsletters, whatever that looks like, get to know your industry and build those relationships. Like I said, maybe they turn into something. Maybe they don't turn anything. Maybe you get a friend. Maybe you get someone you really dislike. But that's okay. At least you know.
Yes. Yeah. Right? You know what you don't want.
Right. But at least you know the landscape that you're operating in, and you can still always learn something. You can learn what not to do. You can learn what to do. That's super important.
What has evolved since you started? Like, have you diversified your business? Because I feel like, like you said, you started out blogging, you're enjoying writing. How has that changed? And would you have people like based on industries or whatever, have something else?
Yeah. So I'm still a writer at heart. I still love to write. I still write 7+ articles a week. I love writing. Writing is my forte. We launched the podcast in 2017. That's been doing pretty well. And then we launched video really hard. We had YouTube since like 2017, like long format, but we went really hard on short format about 2 years ago. And that's really exploded in growth too. So I kind of operate in a mindset, and I won't take credit for this. I'll give it to Gary Vaynerchuk, but he says, you just have to be where people's attention is. And you don't get to decide that as a creator. The world just kind of decides where people's attention is. And so if you want their attention, you just need to go where they're at. That doesn't mean that you should ignore your forte and your strong suit. So like your strong suit's writing, start writing, get a Substack. Substack's kind of the writing capital of the internet today in 2026. Go right there. I think the key for you is what brings your uniqueness to that. Are you an expert in something? Are you actually trying something? Because those are the two things that shape, I think, the way people like to consume content today. They either want the subject matter expert that knows something better than anyone else and they can trust them as an authority, or they want to follow someone's journey as they are learning and doing something step by step through the process, ups and downs, side to side. If you're kind of doing those, share them. People love that content. You asked the question of should you have a website? 100%. You need to have your website. I talk to a lot of young creators, especially video creators. You only get to own what you own, your home base. So when they want to change their algorithm, or the US government decides to ban your platform, or who the heck knows whatever else is going to happen, you need to own your own place in this world, and your website is it. It also goes to being able to have an about page and like more content about yourself. It also goes to things like being able to track affiliate links. Like you want to have just some logistics that you need as a content creator. You want to have your own website to do it. So yes, 100% you need to have your own home base.
One last business question, then I'll move on. What's your advice for people that just say, I want to start a business? Because in the military community, a lot of people say that is, they've served and now they kind of want to have ownership of their earning ability and flexibility, but they have no idea. And as somebody that has been in business for a long time, what's your advice for them if they have no experience with that?
I would say it's like kind of twofold. It's number one, just start and try something. I think a lot of people get hung up in formalities and random stuff, but it's like, what do you want to do and how can you get it to happen as quick as you can? For example, do you want to sell something? Well, put it on Facebook Marketplace right now and see if anyone's interested in it, or like whatnot. You don't need to get hung up on things. Are you creating something? Like, are you documenting? Like, start putting out the content on TikTok or wherever and see what people say. Go find it out. You don't need to get super formal. But I would also say it is not linear, it is not guaranteed, and it is not easy. I've created content every day since 2009. Are you going to show up every single day for 15, 20 years? I don't know. Whatever it is. Are you going to show up every single day? Is this something that you love and enjoy enough that you're going to get up in the morning, take your kids to school, and you're going to hustle on it from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., get your kids, put them to bed, and then do it again from 8 p.m. to midnight? Do you love it that much? Do you enjoy it that much? Because you have to, or you're not going to be successful. Part 2 is, if that doesn't sound appealing to you, do you know that more millionaires are created being number 6 at a company or number 10 at a company? You don't need to start something. Go find a friend or a small business and help grow that, especially if you're thinking of the trades. Go be the guy for somebody else and get paid handsomely, but not have all the responsibility on your shoulders, right?
Yes, I love the sound of that. Not as much responsibility. I love that you pointed out that you love doing it because you're going to do it all the time. And I think about it, we both attend FinCon. I don't know if we've been to other conferences together, but that is the thing, is even though people think that, okay, hey, you're an event, a lot of people there that are successful are going back to their room to work, or they've worked before they've even come out of their room.
100%.
So many times, Steve Stewart, the editor of this podcast, he is always working and editing at an event because he loves it. That's his business. So I like that you point that out. You got to love it.
You got to love it. I mean, just today, like I told you, I already recorded another podcast before this. I got up early today and put out content on our own website. I'm on social media. When I go to events, I do the same exact thing. I only go to events if I can create for my business. It has to mutually align. Yeah, I want to learn and I want to hang out with friends, but am I going to be able to create, interact, and do things? So when we were at FinCon, I think I recorded at least 2 to 3 podcasts or videos every single day. I went live with some people. It's guess what? You have this cool opportunity with really cool people in your space. See if they want to come talk to you and join them and stuff like that. You got to take advantage of those things, and you got to really put that effort into your business.
Yes, I love that. Well, I could ask you a million questions, but I'm going to start to wind down. I want to ask you some quick questions to ask everybody. What is one resource or tool that makes your life easier or your work?
On the business side, I'm a big Asana buff. You need to have some kind of to-do list, task manager, project manager, some kind of home base that's outside of your email inbox. And so for me, that tool is Asana. I love it. I use it personally as my own to-do list. I have a personal file for my own to-do list. I have a business file. And the cool thing is it integrates everything into one giant to-do list. Our team is there as well. So you can send tasks, tag people, have chat. It's really nice for me to put the business there and kind of separate it out of my personal mindset and inbox.
Yes, I love that. What is your favorite book right now or your favorite book of all time?
It's really hard. I'll say that the favorite book that I recommend the most and I talk about the most and I gift the most is I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. Personal finance fundamentals, great mindset around it. And I just find myself, especially for young adults and families, it's got that catchy headline, I will teach you to be rich, but hopefully it hooks them and gives them those fundamentals to set themselves up for success.
Yes, that's a good one. I'll be sure to link to those 2 things in the show notes for everybody. Now it is time for my favorite part of the podcast.
It's game time. It's game time.
And in honor of your visit, we are going to be playing a somewhat new game. This has only been played twice now, which is Am I Lying? So I am going to give you 5 statements about me, and you have to tell me if it's a lie or not. If you get 3 out of the 5 correct, you get bragging rights that you won game time on the MILMO Show, Robert, which is a really big deal.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, although I felt bad, I should have planned a little bit better because I've made PT play Plead the Fifth, and I should have done it to you too, is to play Plead the Fifth, but we're going to give you an easy one. So am I lying? Here's the first one. Number 1, I failed my driver's license written exam twice. Is that a lie?
No, that's true.
It is. I'm a horrible test taker. I always say, if our life depends on me passing a written test, we are all screwed. It's in the Goonies, when she has to play the piano, it would be me, but with a written test.
That's awesome.
So, okay, you get that one. Number 2, I know sign language. Is that a lie?
No, I think you do.
I actually do. Not really. Like it's very rudimentary.
That's okay.
Yes, but we had a friend in elementary school. Her parents were both deaf, and on the school bus every day to and from school, she would teach me and my sister sign language.
That's awesome.
Yes. So it's more the alphabet than sign language. I'll say that. Okay, number 3. One of my favorite movies is National Treasure. Is that a lie?
Yes.
No, it is. It's one of my favorites.
That's your favorite.
It's not my favorite. It's one of my favorites.
Phenomenal movie. I mean, let's go steal the Constitution and let's get it.
Yes, I love it. It's got history, adventure.
All of it.
Yes.
I wouldn't peg you for like an action comedy person, so that's awesome.
Okay, number 4. So you've only missed one. Okay, number 4. I am the youngest child in my family. Is that a lie?
No, that's true.
No, I'm the youngest girl.
Oh, okay.
It was tricky. Okay, you just have to get this last one right. And I have a feeling
All right.
you should get this one right, Robert.
All right.
I hate oysters. Is that a lie?
No, you love oysters.
That's
You
something
love
better
oysters.
Yes. Yes.
You're the only person I know for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner that'd be like, it's breakfast. You guys want some oysters? You're like, what? What's happening right now?
That would be a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Different types for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I could totally do that. Well, you get that one right. So you won Game Time. You have that bragging right now. Or bragging right.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
I appreciate you playing the game and for being here. Can you tell everybody listening where they can learn more about you and the work you're doing?
Absolutely. So you can find me at thecollegeinvestor.com. We're on all your favorite social platforms, video platforms, and podcast platforms. So wherever you want to get your content, we will be there.